Starting where we left off, after Duck was exiled from Tidmouth Sheds, he met Edward at Wellsworth Station. Unfortunately, dealing with all the drama kicked up by Diesel really made Duck feel down in the dumps. But I think Top Hat's recommendation to hang out with Edward was actually a smart idea. Edward is like the most likable character of the whole crew. Who wouldn't want to work with this helpful, optimistic friend? Besides, getting to Wellsworth Station meant crossing that beautiful viaduct again. When he got there, Edward had the perfect treatment to ease Duck's agita.
Why don't you help me with these trucks? Duck felt happier with Edward and set to work at once.
Yes, bring on Edward's music. This is why Edward is the engine to have on your side. He is nothing but an individual who lifts up those who need it. This is also why we never see him with Gordon, James, and Henry, because he's nothing like those three. As the train reached the top of Gordon's Hill, which kind of looks less steep in this shot, Duck said adios and went back down. Alright, hold up for a minute. Was Duck never coupled to begin with? Surely the guard would have done that before they started their run. But the story never says that. It's almost like Duck just decided to stop helping. I know that isn't the case, but that's how it seems. However, that was the least of Duck's troubles now.
Duck loved coasting down the hill, running easily with the wind whistling past. Suddenly, it was a guard's warning whistle. Hurrah, 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 laughed the trucks. We've broken away, we've broken away.
Okay, so if Duck was never coupled as the back engine to Edward's train, then maybe the same guard never coupled the trucks to Edward. I don't know, I just get the inclination that's what happened. Rarely do those chains snap, unless they're really, really old. But what's done is done now. The troublesome trucks were gaining quickly on Duck's rear, rather fast. The only thing Duck and his crew could do at that point was, once they caught up, try to slow them down. What I can't believe, though, is just how fast those trucks are moving. Look at that! They must be roaring down that track. And it's not like they're even gaining in small increments. They just ate up like a good 20 feet in all of a few seconds. Things got even worse as he got closer to Crosby Station. James was there, barely even moving yet. Thankfully, by the time Duck got there, he was far enough ahead for him to go somewhere else.
He veered into a siding where a barber had set up shop. He was shaving a customer.
Yeesh, that wasn't pretty. Gratefully, nobody was hurt, but the troublesome trucks didn't care. They were happy with their work, because of course, self-destruction is an admirable goal in life, right? However, the barber was not content with Duck's drop-in appointment, mainly because Duck didn't have facial hair to begin with, which means he had to use up all his shaving cream just for him. Okay, I made that up, but that would have been funny if that was the reason. What the barber was really upset over was the fact that a freaking railway engine busted through his front door. Obviously. Not to mention there could have been a lot of collateral damage. To keep the barber from harassing Duck any further, Top Hat dropped by to cool his jets.
I do not like engines popping through my walls, fumed the barber. I appreciate your feelings, said the fat controller, but you must know that this engine and his crew have prevented a serious accident.
And if I were the big man, I would have also added, and whose fault was it to set up your business right behind a railway line? I mean, for Pete's sake, there wasn't even a set of buffers at the end of the siding. So before this accident even occurred, one should already know that if a train came barreling down the line, there would have been nothing to stop it. But delightfully, what Top Hat said himself was enough to change the barber's opinion, and he commended Duck on doing his best to keep the trucks at bay. As Thomas started rescuing Duck, Top Hat also informed him that he was allowed to return to Tidmouth Sheds. Rightfully so, Duck asked why.
But sir, they don't like me. They like Diesel. Not now. I never believed Diesel, so I sent him packing. The engines are sorry and want you back.
Well, isn't that just dandy? It's nice to know that the engines who did feel sour about Duck now would like him to return. Although, I want to know exactly what made Top Hat think he could never believe Diesel. If that was the case to begin with, then why did you send Duck to Wellsworth? This doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. What if Duck really was the engine who was calling James, Gordon, and Henry names? Then he seriously would have made an error in judgment. Of course, the chance of this being true is 1 in 11 million, but you never know. Nevertheless, everyone was happy to see Duck's return.
A few days later, when he came home, there was a really rousing welcome for Duck the Great Western Engine.
Where's Toby and Edward, though? That's bogus. I'm not saying having Duck return is bad, but, I believe Edward and Toby should be included in that welcome home event. Thomas is even there, and he had nothing to do with the last few stories except rescuing Duck. Ooh, I know, such a big role. This episode was gratifying as much as I'm knocking it for excluding certain characters. I just don't get the reason for only having most of the engines around. Either include the ones that were in the story arc, or bring in everyone. I'm sure the camera lens could have caught all of them in the same shot. Really, what I could have cared more for was having James, Gordon, and Henry reconcile their opinions on Duck when he returned. And if not that, then at least a better explanation as to why Top Hat sent Diesel home to Diesel Land. I just don't buy, I never believed Diesel. What? Surely there must have been something that occurred that convinced him that Diesel was the issue and not Duck. It's a very lazy reason, but whatever. Aside from this though, it was still fun to watch. Seeing Duck feeling more at ease after he arrives at Wellsworth Station continues to show that Edward is an underrated character. He's an engine who really knows how to make one's troubles feel less burdensome. Then there's the troublesome trucks in this entry. These suckers are ferocious when they want to be, and this was the most aggressive they've ever been so far. They just didn't let Duck slow them down, and then after the damage was done, they found it hilarious. That's one twisted set of personalities. Music was good too. The respective motifs for the characters shown are heard, and that's expected at this point now. Duck's theme is always jolly, Edward is upbeat and energetic, Sir Topham Hatt's is authoritative, and that frantic runaway theme works in building the tension that unfolds. As for camera shots, we actually have some things to elaborate on. I'll quickly go over what already gets a thumbs up in my book, the viaduct and Gordon's Hill. Enough said, both beautiful, breathtaking shots. There's also scenes that have the Wellsworth Junction, Tidmouth Sheds, and a point of view shot when Duck flies through Crosby Station. There are also certain shots that expand already well-known locations. For example, audiences now have a better idea of what the siding looks like at Crosby Station, and the interior of that barbershop. Of course, that's been totaled now, so it won't be built there anytime soon, I'm sure. And viewers also get another shot of Gordon's Hill from another side. Up until this point, we've only witnessed it from one side. I know this isn't a huge detail, but it is something new to look at. Next episode is better late than never. Thanks for watching.